Hello, everyone. I'm Arnie Munson, president of Holtmeyer and Munson. We are an ICBA preferred service provider specializing in the area of government guaranteed lending, primarily SBA lending as well as USDA lending. I want to share some thoughts with you today about how we can be a valuable resource for your bank and get you into this popular lending function efficiently and cost effectively. So I have a PowerPoint I'm going to be using for support purposes. As I mentioned, we are an ICBA preferred service provider. We've celebrated 44 years in business. We've been doing this a good long while. In March of this year, we celebrated and we were honored at the ICBA convention with 20 years of service as a preferred service provider. And that's a big deal. That's a big, meaningful endorsement, and we appreciate it very much. To move on, a little bit about Holtmeyer and Munson. If you don't know, we are the largest LSP, lender service provider in the country. We serve more clients than anyone else. We manage more loan portfolios than anyone else, and we complete more transactions than any of our competitors. We really position ourselves as an outsourced resource for your bank so you can effectively get into the government guaranteed lending business, as we like to say it, without the overhead and without the heartburn. So I know some of the listeners may have had some experience with particular SBA lending. Maybe you were involved with PPP program and have not been active in the guaranteed loan programs. We can solve that problem for you in a very efficient manner. So continuing, the PowerPoint slide shows we've been doing this since 1982. We're a great partner for banks starting or restarting or in need of a refresh. We're here to help. We are very interactive. We encourage lots of communication with our clients, and it seems to be working. We've been at it, like I say, for 44 years. We handle all aspects of the lending process, including sale of guarantees if you so choose to do that. So again, we position ourselves as your fully staffed, outsourced government guaranteed lending department, again, without the heartburn and without the overhead. All of our fees are transaction based. Our average client nationwide does 8 transactions a year. And for that limited amount of volume, you certainly can't cost justify staffing up a department. So the other option is to outsource it to a high level service provider. We eliminate the need for bank staff or overhead, and we can operate on a no net cost to the bank basis. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We're presently serving, as of this morning, 215 community banks just like yours, and and we'll operate nationwide. We also manage government guaranteed loan portfolios, SBA as well as USDA loan portfolios, and earlier this year we went over $1 billion under servicing. So again, a very comprehensive service we can offer to your bank. Why get involved in government guaranteed lending? We run into bankers all the time that say, it's too much work. We had a bad experience. We don't have the staff to handle it efficiently. Well, again, your competitors are making SBA loans and USDA loans. So if you're not, you're missing on some opportunities. Again, why get involved with government guaranteed lending? Expand your commercial lending offerings. If you have a C&I function right now and it's limited to conventional financing, you're missing out some opportunities. Mitigate risk through that government guarantee. People say, well, SBA lending, USDA lending is too risky. Well, not really. It's less risky than conventional C&I lending because you have a full faith and credit government guarantee backing up your credit transaction. Effectively compete in your local markets. Again, your competitors, whether they're local, national, or regional, they're making SBA loans in particular in your market. So if you're going to compete effectively, this is a tool you should really consider. We talk to a lot of community banks on a daily basis. They're looking for a couple things. They're looking for good commercial loan growth, and they're also looking for sources of non-interest fee income. So again, there exists a very lucrative secondary market to sell government guarantees into at significant premiums. So we can handle that for you as well and generate some pretty significant non-interest fee income. Also, excuse me, you're very cognizant of CRA requirements. These government guaranteed loans are a great tool for meeting CRA mandates. Starting, expanding, or managing a successful SBA lending function, and there may be a mix of all of these on the viewing this today. I'm going to just quickly run through the most widely used programs that we get involved with our clients with. And these are the SBA and the USDA have a multitude of programs, maybe too many programs. The ones that are most widely used, I'm going to quickly review and encourage you to consider them. The SBA 7A program, guaranteed loan program, shared risk. You make a direct commercial loan, term commercial loan to a creditworthy borrower, and upon that credit facility, you get a full faith and credit government guarantee. The SBA, then these loans, by the way, go up to a maximum of $5 million gross loan amount, up to $150,000. They carry a 85% guarantee. These are term amortizing loans. And with that government guarantee, you have the ability to extend your maturity, provide your borrower with long-term financing, and thus take pressure off cash flow. The rates are, the SBA establishes a maximum rate you can charge your borrower. You can set the rate anywhere below that. It can be fixed, it can be variable. And typically, if a variable rate instrument is put in service, it is a prime rate based loan. The SBA is one of the few agencies that operates at a zero subsidy. If you can imagine this, a federal government agency that pays its own bills, has no expense impact on the federal budget. And how do they do that? They charge user fees, guarantee fees. So every borrower that wants to access these programs will pay a one-time upfront user fee. When we get involved, we capitalize that fee. It has to be paid, by the way. It's not negotiable, but we incorporate it, capitalize it into the project, the most efficient way to get it paid. The Express program under the 7A is a sub-program. One of the big differences, it can be used for term financing, but it can also be used for a revolving line of credit. So we see in our practice, we call it a companion credit facility. If you're doing term financing for a borrower and they need a revolving working capital line of credit, this is a good tool for that. This is a delegated authority that the SBA grants. We can assist you with getting that authority. 504 program, you may be familiar with that. This is hybrid financing limited to fixed assets only. And those applications are processed through a certified development company, and they provide junior financing through the sale of debentures. So under this program, for 50% of the risk, the bank assumes a senior security interest, and it's supported in a junior position by the SBA debenture, which is guaranteed by the SBA. Typical project structuring is 50% bank, 40% junior financing through the debenture, and a minimum, I say a minimum of 10% owner's equity into the project. The USDA B&I, Business and Industry Program, I feel is a underused program, and we're getting more and more involved with that with our clients. It's a very good program, offers a guarantee. It looks a lot like the SBA 7A program, although there are some unique differences. First of all, eligibility for the borrower is determined by location. So the borrower has to be located in a municipality of 50,000 or less, but that encompasses the bulk of the footprint for ICBA member banks. To be a USDA borrower, you may be nonprofit, whereas under the SBA program, must be a for-profit borrower. In our practice, we use it widely for agricultural facilities, and co-ops, grain handling, hog production, chicken production, as well as more C&I related transactions. We use it quite extensively for hospitality around the country, hotels, motels, um, healthcare facilities, those kinds of things. It does have a tangible net worth test of 20% pro forma tangible net worth. So there has to be real equity into these projects, and that's a test we must meet. Guarantees on these loans, again, you get a full faith and credit government guarantee, and they go as high as 85%, between 80 and 85%. And these guarantees can also be sold in the secondary market, just like 7A full faith and credit guarantees. So, what are some critical issues to consider if you're not in the SBA or USDA lending business now? Why should you get involved? And what are some critical issues you need to consider? We talk about non-traditional borrowers. Your bank has a credit box, a C&I credit box, and it probably looks like this. What do you do with that applicant that falls just outside of your C&I credit box? Well, maybe you like the borrower, they've been a customer, and you don't want to turn them away to another institution, or certainly not to one of those credit unions. But how can you expand that credit box and be comfortable with extending credit to your borrower? We use it a lot for business acquisition financing. That's a big part of our practice. Someone's buying or selling a business, the buyer needs financing, and there's a component of goodwill, an intangible asset. And bankers get a little weak in the knees when they consider how do you finance an intangible asset. Well, with that SBA or USDA guarantee as a support mechanism, you can justify the cost of the purchase price of the business and the value of that goodwill. Startup businesses, inherently tough to finance. Uh, they have higher risk, no historical operating history, but maybe you, for whatever reason, you want to engage in some startup financing. This is the only way to even consider it. Business expansions, you get a business that's healthy now, but they need to expand, puts pressure on capital, and after the expansion, they would be undercapitalized. Well, you can support that risk with a government guarantee. In our practice, we do a lot of specialty business financing, hotels, motels, restaurants, franchises, great use of these government guaranteed programs. Debt refinancing. You can refinance debt very efficiently with a SBA guaranteed loan, extend the maturity, and take pressure off cash flow. And we see all the time where formerly conventional borrowers, they were strong enough so they could be conventional borrowers, pressure on capital, maybe now they need that SBA or USDA support. Benefits to the borrower. What do borrowers need to do? What does a small business owner and operator need to do? He needs to secure financing for his business. If you're not offering government guaranteed loan programs, they may go elsewhere. So they need to secure that financing. They need access to capital. When you work with us, we like to do things very comprehensively and capitalize all the fees and costs into one comprehensive long-term financing, extended term as offered by the agencies. And I think you'll agree with me. Hey, excuse me. There's nothing more important, excuse me, to that small business borrower than cash flow. And these programs tend to maximize cash flow to the borrower. These programs, these support mechanisms allow you to continue to provide access to capital during stress times. We might still be in stress times. The economy is getting stronger, but there's still stress out there. And I talked about expanding your bank's credit box. Again, if you have a C&I credit box and your borrower doesn't fall into that credit box, how do you accommodate that borrower? Well, expand your credit box with a government guarantee. And H&M, we serve as a value-added agent. We are an agent to the bank, a counselor, a consultant. We don't make the credit decision. That's done at the bank level, but we can provide you with really good guidance as you entertain these requests. How we work together? When we onboard a new client, we assign a dedicated account executive. So you'll have a go-to person that you can call, and by golly, they'll answer the phone. That's a unique concept. And we want to be very interactive, engaging both your lender at the bank and your borrower. So we get good communication flow. We then proceed through a very highly structured process. We do everything on a software platform. It's Abrigo, which is a SageWorks product. So loan consulting and packaging, that's the first step. Once you get that government guarantee, the next critical step is to close that loan in compliance with your guarantee, so you don't ever jeopardize that guarantee. That's our obligation to you. So we provide closing services. We generate all of the required SBA and USDA documents. Once that loan is closed, if your bank wants to choose to sell a guarantee, we handle that for you. Securitizing and selling that guarantee, servicing and portfolio management. Again, we're managing over $1 billion of SBA and USDA loans. And the bottom bar there, we're in the risk business. If you make enough loans, sooner or later you're going to have a distressed borrower and maybe a default. So then you want to be sure that your government guarantee is intact and valid. We have a department that handles those guarantee claims and liquidations if necessary. So a very comprehensive service offering, and it's been very well received for 44 years. We work closely with the agencies, so we're the liaison between the agencies and you at the bank level. Service provider benefits. Why would you engage the services of a lender service provider, in particular Holt, Meyer, and Munson? Conforming software, industry specific, and again, that's Abrigo. Current technical information and updates. We regularly publish a newsletter. I'm going to invite you to subscribe to it, giving you updates and any program changes. Trade association endorsement. As I mentioned earlier, we've been endorsed for 20 years by the ICBA. That's a big deal. A very meaningful endorsement. Efficiency of processing and cost control. That's the way we operate. Streamlined communication. We work very hard to streamline all of our processes so it can be very efficient for your lender at the bank level and your borrower, and have a good experience. We hear horror stories all the time of borrowers or bankers that have had a horrible experience, and we really work hard to eliminate that. And every deal to us is, and we touch in one way or another 1,000 transactions a year. So that's a big operation, either through an origination, service request, portfolio management. And we do everything on a case-by-case basis. So it's very customized, very personalized to you and your borrower. I mentioned selling these guarantees. It's a very, very lucrative generator of non-interest fee income for your institution. There's a very active secondary market. We're selling guarantees on a daily basis, and we handle that whole process very seamlessly for you. Again, here is just a recap of our service menu. Complimentary initial consultation. If you want to, once you have an account executive assigned, you can feel free to call for guidance, advice. You want to talk about the structure of a particular transaction, we'll handle that for you. Submission of the completed conforming loan application, loan closing services, securitizing and selling guarantees, and managing your portfolio. So a very comprehensive turnkey offering that we make available to you on a very cost-effective basis. Finally, I talked about our newsletter. I encourage you, if you have interest in getting this, and I know you're inundated with emails, and this one is worth reading. We publish it every 60 days, and you can go on our website, just Google Holt, Meyer, and Munson. It's a pull-down menu. You can subscribe to it. It'll take you 30 seconds. If this is interesting to you, you want to request a consultation, you can reach out to me directly. Contact information on our website, and we will get you in the SBA business, government guaranteed lending business, USDA lending, without the heartburn and without the overhead. So that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to me directly, and good luck. Thank you.